All right, how to stop thoughts that won't stop. Overthinking, inner-critic, something that's just turning over and over in your mind and it won't stop. I've got some strategies to help you break those thoughts. Let's start with step 1. Right, so first step, take control of what you're saying to yourself. This includes many things. There's a reason for the thoughts to be there though. And quite often it can come from the ways that we talk to ourselves. Our inner critic keeps running, blah, 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 things like that. What we can control is what we're saying to ourselves. So my first thing that I do is I often say to myself, okay, dude, I'm sorry that you're thinking this. Let's see what we can do about it. You know, you start to just open up that conversation, that inner dialogue. You start to talk to that inner critic and you say, okay, what are we going to do about this instead of sitting in it, all right? You can do this by affirmation. It works really well for some people. It doesn't work really well for other people. But I don't mean affirmation as in standing in the mirror and saying, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, when maybe that's not true, because that might not work. What I mean is saying it with so much emphasis that it actually can snap us out of it, which is actually part of number 2. Anyway, if the thoughts are really quite frightening and it's something that you're worried about, obviously you should seek some professional guidance or help. I would talk to a friend first and then perhaps go down that road. In New Zealand, you can text a number called 1737 if you're just worried, if you just want someone to talk to about it. If you don't have anyone in your inner circle to say, hey, I need some help, that is a really good stepping point in the right direction. 2, compound interruption. Now, a compound interruption is a change of state. This is my most effective method of changing thoughts. If I'm overthinking, if I can't handle my day, if I'm just, it's running, compound interruption. That's why they say going outside works. That's why they say going to the gym works and things like that. But I've experienced it where I've gone to the gym and I've gone outside and I can't stop the thoughts. That's because what we need is a compound interruption. We need this interruption, a physical state change, along with a mindset change. So what are some things that we can do to induce a compound interruption? We start with our self-talk. We start by being kind to ourselves. And we start saying, with step 1, we start saying things like, it's okay to have thoughts. Thoughts aren't actually real. We can have these things. Later on, we'll talk about verification. But right now, what we're doing is thought interruption. Things like breath work, box breathing. Do it with me now. In for 4, hold for 4, and out for 4. In through the nose and out through the mouth. If we do that 3 or 4, 5 times, it's going to start changing our state and our thoughts will slow down. Anything fitness related is obviously a compound interruption because we're exercising and listening and doing. You've got to do something with it. You can't just do the physical exercise itself, even though it is most likely to help. Seeing a friend can help. Playing music can help. There's a lot of things. Anything that's a state change. I know that when you're sad and you're upset, you might want to sit in bed and scroll and do things like that, but that's not going to do any good for us. We might want to listen to sad music and reminisce and look back at our memories on our phones and things like that. That's just going to feed those thoughts. That's just going to keep them running. We need to snap ourselves out of it. That's what a compound interruption involves. Getting up, shaking it out. Those kind of things actually work because they're a state change. We have to change our state, okay? 3rd, mindfulness. Now, back in the day when I first went to my doctor because I had some scary thoughts and asked them what to do and they recommended mindfulness, I got infuriated and I left. Going inward, meditation, it does work, okay? Now, breathing, going out into nature, and exercising are a form of mindfulness, okay? And that's a compound interruption. Going out into nature not only is a state change, but it is also something that changes up here. Our smell, our touch, our hear, our taste, all of our senses are being activated, which is interrupting what's going on. So 3 is really 2 and 1 put together, okay? So it's a really good strategy, going outside. Think about it. 4, this is going to tie it all together. Verify them, okay? Step 4, verify the thought. Like I said before, thoughts are not facts, and we can weigh them up like a pro and a con list. So what we do, we get a journal, we put a line through the paper. Why is this thought real? And write it down. Why would this thought not be real? And write it down. Okay? How is it and how is it not? Weigh it up. If it is real, then we can deal with it. And if it's not real, we know that it's just a reflection, an echo of the past. It could be something that we're dealing with our mental health. It could be anything. But at least we know whether it's true or not. And we've shown ourselves. Now, sometimes we don't have all the tools that we need to show ourselves these things. So what we can do is ask a friend. Now, to tie it all together, we've got take control of what you say to yourself, compound interrupting, mindfulness, and verification. So what have we done using this 4-step method? What we have done is changed our story, to change our state, to change our strategy. Okay, now that's something that I learned from Tony Robbins. Okay, and so obviously it works because the man's a genius. Anyway, what we're normally doing is we get a thought and we try and change our strategy straight away. So it's all backwards. We're trying to change our strategy to change our situation to then prove to our mind that these thoughts aren't real and change them. And that's all backwards, isn't it? So getting in there, shaking stuff up and changing our story can change what we need to do to make a new strategy moving forward. So what I call the compound interruption is a physiological and a psychological change at the same time. Okay, change our physiology and our psychology to change our current state, which is going to change our story and our situation. Changing our physiology, shaking it up, moving around, exercising, going outside, all of those things work to change our physiology. And then to change our psychology, what we're doing is we're changing the story that we're telling ourselves. We're challenging the thoughts. We're challenging the things that are ingrained in us, because the stories that we're telling ourselves are probably not put there by ourselves. They can be put there by our upbringing, they can be put there from various traumas, they can be put there by so many different things. But a lot of the time, those thoughts aren't actually put there by us. It could be a societal impact, it could be an external influence that is making and dictating those thoughts. And those are things that they're not used to us. That's why the pros and the cons list of why is this thought real, why is this thought not real can work, because it can break that thought pattern. It's an interruption, but just that interruption alone isn't enough for long-term change, because what you can do is you call out the thought and you say, okay, this isn't real, but I still feel pretty trash, to be honest. That's why having that physiological change at the same time works, because you're changing your state and your story at the same time. Compound. Now, another cool thing about the compound interruption is, have you ever heard of compounding? Compound interest, compounding things and doing things over a long period of time to create massive change. Doing compound interruptions for long enough will make the reaction automatic in us. It'll reprogram our subconscious mind to automatically react in the right way to things. So something that I've been doing wrong for my entire life, well, not necessarily wrong, but doing something because of my programming my whole life, was to react instantly or get down on myself or let my inner critic go run wild. And my inner critic would say to myself, you aren't worthy, you don't deserve this, you can't be successful, you're from New Zealand. All of those little things would pop up in this little inner critic, and it would make me sad. And then if I had even like other things going on in my life as well, I'd say, well, I'll just drink and things like that. But that's a different topic. Now, to break that cycle, I had to change my story and I had to change my state. Regular exercise and regular affirmation changed my story and state. Doing them at the same time was a compound interruption, and doing it after a long enough amount of time, now when adversities happen, I have the automatic reaction to go, okay, what are we going to talk about? Take control of what I'm going to say to myself. I do something. I practice mindfulness to keep it there, to ingrain it, to say, oh, life is what we make it, really. And then I verify them. Was that a real thought? And often it works for me. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know a lot of stuff. But what I do know is that this strategy has worked really well for me. And if it works really well for someone else, that's just a bonus. Let me know in the comments what you think of this strategy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love, my friends.